Who is receiving this message? In our hyper-connected world, that is one of the most important questions that a person can ask. As we've seen, many people have gotten themselves in trouble by posting something on Twitter or Facebook without thinking about who the possible receivers might be. The receiver is the fourth part of the communication situation: sender, message, medium, receiver, and context. Oliver Shinkton, co-founder of the Communities program at Oshkosh North High School, used this approach to help students understand about the receiver.
Another activity that I did was to have students take the content that we were learning and tell them that they were going to go and give a presentation to a group of people. So they had 15 minutes to put together a little 3-minute presentation they would give. The topic, the first time I did it, was malaria. And the very first group, when they reported out what they were going to say, was that it is caused by a protist called Plasmodium vivax, and it is transferred via a mosquito who, and I told the group, okay, you're going to Jefferson Elementary School to talk to a group of first graders. And they said, well, that's not fair. You didn't tell us that. And I said, you didn't ask. Well, another group raised their hand and said, well, listen to ours. Ours will be better then. And they said, we said that malaria is a very serious disease and it can kill you. And I stopped them and I said, guys, you're going to go over to Aurora and you're going to be talking to a group of doctors and nurses. And they said, well, that's not, you didn't tell us that. And I said, you didn't ask that. But I think this shows the power of knowing who your receiver is and that you may need to adjust your message according to your receiver.
It's also important to remember that there may be many unintended receivers. On May 29, 1851, Sojourner Truth spoke at the Women's Convention in Akron, Ohio. Because she was not able to read or write, she spoke extemporaneously, which means that what she actually said was not written down until later. One person in attendance at that convention, Marius Robinson, published this account 2 years later in the Anti-Slavery Bugle. I have as much muscle as any man, and can do as much work as any man. I have plowed and reaped and husked and chopped and mowed, and can any man do more than that? I have heard much about the sexes being equal. I can carry as much as any man, and can eat as much too if I can get to it. I am as strong as any man that is now. That message went out to an anti-slavery audience prior to the Civil War. Another person who attended the convention remembered the speech somewhat differently. Frances Dana Barker Gage published her version in 1863 during the height of the Civil War. It was then republished in 1875, 1881, 1889, and all the way through to the present. Note how the message remains the same, but the words reach a much broader audience in a much more emphatic way. The phrase, "Ain't I a woman," which became the title of this speech, appears multiple times. Also, the speech shows certain aspects of Southern pronunciation, even though Sojourner did not have such an accent, being from New York and speaking Dutch until she was 9 years old. Sojourner crafted her message to reach one group of receivers. 2 of the people that she reached took her message and crafted it again to reach other groups of receivers. Comparing different versions of this speech shows how a message can be adjusted to reach different receivers at different times.